Hi, so today we're going to be talking about Van Molyvann. We're going to cover the overview of his life, his educational history, his work, and his career. So Van Molyvann is a Cambodian architecture and urban planner that's born in Kampot province in 1926, and he passed in 2017 at the age of 19. He played a significant role during the Sangkumri Niyom regime, which spans from 1957 to 1970. It is also known as People's Socialist Community. He works as a state architecture under Prince Norodom Sihanouk. His style combines modernism and traditional Khmer elements, which is later known as the New Khmer architecture. His 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 education includes in 1944, he was the first student to pass the Vectorial test at Prehsisovat High School, and later in 1946, he was awarded a scholarship in which he pursued law school in French. And after 1 year of studying law school in Paris, he decided to switch over to architecture and study at Beaux-Arts de Paris because he was inspired by Henri de Markel. Henri Marchal. And he and at Beaux-Arts de Paris, he studies under Le Corbusier, and after he graduated, he decided to stay in Paris, France for a few more years to study and work at Arche Studio. And after after that, he decided to return to Cambodia in 1956, which he was the first fully qualified Cambodian architect in Cambodia. Soon after returning, he was appointed as the head of public works and the state architect by Prince Norodom Sihanouk. And in 1967, he was appointed by Prince Norodom Sihanouk as the Ministry of Education. And due to that, he had to flee in 1970s during the rise of the Khmer Rouge era, and he fled to Switzerland and worked as an architect there. And he also spent 10 years working for the United Nations Human Settlements Program. He returned in 1990. He returned in 1991, serving as the president of the Council of Minister of Culture, Fine Arts, and Town and Country Planning. He designed over 100 structures, including the Independence Monument, Chatumok Conference Hall, and the National Olympic Stadium, as well as working as an urban planner and overseeing the expansion of Phnom Penh as well as the seaport. That was his work during his years of working, and his design is a is described as a mixture of Bauhaus and European modern blend with traditional Angkor, with traditions from Angkor, as you can see in this picture here. So the picture from the last slide is the Independence Monument, also known as Vimien Aikriet, that is located right in front of the Royal Palace. It was built in 1956. It was built in 1958 to celebrate the country's independence from France in 1953. It was located It is located in the Norodom Boulevard and the Sihanouk Boulevard. It features the lotus-shaped stupa that is inspired by the Angkor Wat architecture. In And the monument was designed was designed by Van Molyvann solely, I believe, and we can also see like the modern influence in here as well, though it is not as prominent. A more prominent influence of modern architecture is the Institute of Foreign Language. It is also known as IFL. It's located in Phnom Penh and it is built in 1970 and finished in 1972. It is very much inspired by the Angkorian temple site, which we will see more later in the next slide, and the and Le Corbusier modernist ideas. You can see that it is very minimalistic with a more geometric form. The honeycomb up top, the honeycomb shape up top is used for ventilation as well as the vertical slit along the side. It also lets in natural lighting in. These are more details on IFL. The picture on the left is the library building. We can see the modern influence with the floor to ceiling windows, and it is two-story. And for the other side, we can see at the bottom it's a hand railing with what we call a naga. It is a five-headed snake. It is also inspired by the Angkorian site, but instead of using the more complicated seven-headed snake, it is more simplified to a five-headed snake. The, on top, we can also see that honeycomb structures to let the ventilation in. For another of his work, it is the National Olympic Stadium. It is located at the heart of the capital. It was commissioned to build around 1963 for the 1963 Southeast Asian Peninsular Games, which was later cancelled. It is design it is designed with Le Corbusier's engineer Vladimir Bodinsky. The building combines modernism and brutalistic style, as well as traditional elements. In the front here, at the top, right in the middle, we can see the Cambodian national flower, Karumdul, right in the middle. And on the side, it is said to represent Cambodia way of greeting called Sampeh. And for more details, we can see smaller perforations in the facade located underneath the tiered seatings. And we can see thin metal sheets wrapped around the exterior of the stadium, leaving thin gaps for ventilation and strips of light inside. These metal sheets are very commonly used in Cambodia, as it is thinner and let more heat in and out easier. This this is Van Molivann's house. It is located in Mao Zedong Boulevard in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. It is built from 1965 to 1966. It is the perfect combination of traditional architecture and modernism style. We can see influence from modernism style in the in the floor to ceiling windows at the second story and the bottom story, the first story as well. As for the roofing, it is inspired by conventional conventional jungle huts of Brazil and traditional Cambodian thatched roofs for ventilation purposes, as well as oriental with concave dome characteristic of Japanese pagoda. As we can see clearer on this slide, the top of the roof is inspired by a lot of different traditional design, especially we can see the more prominent one is the Oriental Japanese temple roof. And we can also see many modernism style that is incorporated in it as well. This house is now turned into a coffee shop, which is open to the public. A lot of the structural architectural elements are are preserved, so we are able to see that. And in remembrance of Van Molyvann, he is known as the Khmer pioneer, the pioneer of Khmer architecture and design. He constantly pushes the boundary between modern and traditional elements, and he is not afraid to mix and experiment with different architectural style. Van Molyvann is an architect who basically built Cambodian cities from and shaped it into what it is now by embracing cultures and functional elements.